So I just saw a private update on BCI, and what did it say? We're going to break that down in this video. So the name of the talk was BCI, Brain-Computer Interface. For my new viewers, BCI, are consumers ready for mind-reading technology? And that's an excellent question. Technology which can interpret our thoughts and control our electronic devices have long been the stuff of sci-fi movies. But did you know there's already been decades worth of research demonstrating our ability to actually do this in the real world? Decades worth. These brain-computer interfaces can be measured and decode neural signals and translate them into intended actions or speech. So this was IDTechEx, and let's dive right in. So they break down BCI commercial applications into wheelchair control, prosthetics control, gaming control, smartphone control, and laptop or PC control. Some of these are pure assistive technologies, but many of them are blended assistive and consumer. So as it turns out, there's a ton of companies working in BCI. This is not just a Neuralink Elon Musk thing by a long shot. In fact, the people at IDTechEx who are experts said that they're not even the main player in this space. Furthermore, there's a few different technologies that are either existing or in development to pursue BCI. One is EEG, which is electroencephalogram, and that has existed for many, many years, but this is taking it a step further to actually control things and make things happen. Another one is called magnetic encephalogram, and that's really targeted at consumer wearables, which there's already a ton of, but the question here is, can all the data coming out of those present consumer wearables be extended? And then there's near infrared, which is a whole other technology. And none of these, by the way, is what Musk and Neuralink are doing. These are all non-invasive. On the invasive side, of course, you've got Neuralink, but you've got huge, very successful corporations competing against Musk and Neuralink. Who are those? Medtronic, which is one of the largest medical equipment suppliers in the world. Boston Scientific, another one. And even BlackRock, the massive hedge fund, has taken a dive into BCI. So this is already a very crowded field, number one. And number two, there's massive corporations playing in this space, many of which are way ahead of the startups. So there's existing technologies that are basically within the family of BCI. What are those? Eye tracking, head movement, mouth sticks for paralyzed people, voice control. All of these are assistive technologies, but some of them are also consumer technologies like voice control and eye tracking. So in the assistive BCI space, what is driving the advancement of that? A BCI makes the existing tools easier to use, faster interactions than a stick in your mouth, for example, more precise, less bulky, much more versatile, and a greatly improved quality of life for these folks who are partially or completely paralyzed. This is a game changer for people with severe disabilities. So other ones that actually fall sort of in the general space of brain-controlled devices include the mouse you use, a keyboard, the trackpad, all this stuff, and touchscreen, all this stuff that already exists. But it's within the same family of technology. Now, on the commercial side, which you guys are really going to be most interested in, unless you happen to be a disabled person, the smartphone control, the laptop control, the gaming console control, all this stuff is going to be the direction of BCI in the consumer space. So each of these technologies have advantages and disadvantages. The technology that's in the lead right now is EEG. Why? Because it's existed for years, it's the cheapest, and it's non-invasive. So that technology is in the clear lead in the BCI space. And the use here is AR, VR, and what they call dry electrodes that fit on your temples, for example. So this is where this stuff is headed. And dry electrodes are already in use all over the place. Skin patches, smart watches, e-textiles where they're embedding sensors into clothes now. And of course, other wearables. And a lot of this is to measure activity, either cardiovascular or muscular or whatever. Now, the next phase for EEG, they say, is monitoring your emotional state. And what they are planning to do is when your BCI detects that you're not in a helpful state, it's going to start to prompt you and redirect you towards a better state. That is a massive societal change when this thing works. Because as human beings, we are all emotionally driven to some degree. In fact, most of the experts say we're highly emotionally driven, and we make all of our decisions emotionally and then justify them with logic after the fact, which I personally subscribe to that theory. And then, of course, they talked about opportunities for BCI and AR and VR, which I personally think are huge. And I've talked about one of those. So how about a pair of regular looking glasses that are AR, but you're walking around in a city you've never been to before, whether it's in the United States or in another country, and every building you look at, it tells you exactly what that building is and what companies are in it or what organizations. This is not that far away, honestly, that kind of application. So all of the tech giants are playing in this BCI space using EEG. So this is the real competition for Musk and Neuralink. And the biggest one is Samsung by far in terms of investment, but also Microsoft, Meta, Apple, and a Chinese company called Oppo. So these guys are plowing huge amounts of money into BCI. Similarly, there's a bunch of companies developing new breakthroughs in dry electrodes that are much, much more sensitive than anything that's ever existed before. And there's many players in that sector as well. So on the consumer side, what is driving BCI? It's more immersive, more imperceptible, suited to next gen like extended reality, easier to use, augmented human interface. So those are powerful reasons to do BCI in consumer. So where is this headed over a little bit of time? Full body tracking. Right now they do face tracking or eye tracking and stuff like that, but it's going to advance to full body tracking. So the competition for BCI is, in terms of other technologies, are things we've mentioned: eye tracking, EMG, which is the smart watches, hand tracking, and mouth pads, which is assistive. So there's a ton of potential EEG BCI applications in the consumer space, and we've talked about them. But once again, it's gaming, emotional state monitoring, sleep and wellness monitoring, and clinical diagnostics. Clinical diagnostics, see, the very last video is huge. This is the huge area right now in practical application of AI. So at this point, the biggest market of BCI is really research and medical, especially for people who have been partially or completely paralyzed, right? But over the next 20 years, that's going to morph into more of the invasive applications on the assistive technology side, but increasing consumer applications. So the big conclusions from IDTechEx are BCIs will be revolutionary, but they won't be for everyone. They say that there's a gap in the market right now for human-machine interface expressed through BCI. And for me personally, I can't wait to not be able to have to spend literally the entire day typing on a keyboard. They predict that humans are mostly going to wear head-worn BCIs, which are most applicable to AR and VR. And they wrap up by saying that high performance of these applications is really the key to opening up the market to BCI, that things have to perform and perform near flawlessly. So this is a challenging field, but there's huge corporations, there's startups, there's universities, there's nonprofits, there's all kinds of people that have jumped into this space, and it's going to grow, and it's going to grow rapidly over the next 20 years, but they're basically saying it will not be perfected in that 20-year period, that there will be practical applications that will work, and those will become more and more popular, but it's not going to be for everyone. So BCI is here to stay. There's huge companies, startups, huge money going into this. This is going to happen in some form, like everything else related to AI. It is going to evolve and evolve rapidly. And we're a long, long way from seeing the ultimate expression of brain-computer interfaces. That ultimate expression could take 100 years. It's hard to say. But in the meantime, we will see noticeable advances over the next 10 to 20 years. So thanks so much for tuning in. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, and share. Also, please support us on Patreon. We need your financial support. We're starting to get it. We really appreciate it because it really helps the channel grow more and bring you more of cutting edge stuff like this information that literally just happened this week and is the #1 global summary of what's happening with BCI in the world just out. So we're keeping you on the cutting edge. So thanks so much for tuning in. See you next time. Bye.